Starting off with creating a website. Now, again, I'm only covering this really briefly because I really want to focus on the written content side of things. But, you know, if you're creating your own website, you know, the first thing you do really is pick a platform. And, you know, the most popular ones out there, the ones I have experience with anyway, are WordPress, Squarespace and Wix. Those are the three big ones that generally seem to be considered quite good for, you know, doing it yourself, basically. WordPress also offers the opportunity to kind of to use your own host. That's a little bit complex. It's a little bit beyond my skill set, and probably would be, you know, another workshop in and of itself. So we'll not go into that. Your own domain name, that's obviously buying your unique website address. You can usually buy these via the platforms themselves. For example, my website's on WordPress. It's hosted on WordPress.com, and I actually bought my domain name from them. And, you know, for ease and, you know, a relatively affordable option, you know, it's one that I personally recommend. But again, there are people out there more knowledgeable about the you know, creating websites, so I would leave it up to them. And then finally, email hosting is something that you would want to think about if you're, you know, getting your site up and running for the first time. And email hosting is probably quite self-explanatory. It's basically just connecting your domain name that you've purchased to an email account. So, you know, you can have a sort of professional looking email. Gmail and Outlook tend to be the most sort of you know, popular platforms for doing that. So we'll move on to the juicy stuff. We're talking about writing with website content, and we'll start with writing your website. So these are the basics, essentially, and I've kind of used a bit of an analogy of, you know, a shop to kind of give you a bit of a visual on this. You know, it sort of represents your buyer's journey. I think these basic components of a website sort of represent your buyer's journey around your website. So if you almost visually imagine them traveling around a website, and, you know, the different information, bits of information they pick up, and, you know, eventually the, you know, the buyer's journey that they go on. So your homepage, that's really, you know, that's your shop floor, your shop window. You know, it showcases what you do, and it invites a closer look. The about section, and, you know, might even want to have another page that's about me if you're a sole trader and you want to talk separately about your journey versus your, you know, the business journey. You know, someone on this page wants to know a bit more about the business. This is a chance to start building a relationship, a human relationship, potentially with your clients. So, you know, it's a bit cheesy, but I like to think about that as sort of chatting on the shop floor, the person behind the business. Next, you need probably either a page or several pages, you know, depending on the volume of, you know, products you're offering or services. You know, and this is equivalent to, you know, somebody browsing through your shop. They're sort of looking at what you have, and they're thinking about whether they want to buy and whether it's right for you. Good example to include, you know, things like a portfolio, a gallery, maybe client testimonials in here. But I'll go into that in a wee bit more detail later as well. And then finally, a contact page. You know, the person's kind of heading towards the till at this point. If they want to get in touch with you, they want to ask you a question, you know, it's safe to assume that unless they're complaining about something, you hope that's not happening. You know, they have either bought already, maybe have a follow-up question, or they're intending to, they're considering it. So it's an important page. There's not a huge amount of content on it or copy. You know, I nearly would call it micro copy, but it's still important to consider. It's still you know, a good opportunity to put across your personality really and differentiate yourself. So going into each of those elements in a wee bit more detail then. So on the home page, what the content needs to do, it needs to reassure your visitor that they're in the right place. First of all, you know, they've obviously come to you to find something, to answer a question. Your homepage really needs to reassure them quite quickly they're in the right place. If it confuses them, they won't want to go any further in the website. They'll have no reason to, because, you know, they won't really understand what's happening there. So next, you kind of have to summarize what you do, what you're offering, what you're selling. It needs to be concise enough to hold their attention, but yet detailed enough to give them the information they need. It's a difficult balance, but it definitely is possible. And I do have a few examples I'd like to show as well. I might do that at the end, and once I come out of the presentation. And then yes, your your USPs, you need to kind of sell it. You need to sort of, you know, tell them what's unique about you and give them a reason to stick around, you know, give them a compelling reason to explore your website further. And then finally, you definitely need a call to action. You need to direct them. Where do they go next in the website? You know, and again, reinforcing that idea of a journey around your website. So how to do it then? This is the real important stuff, the details of how to do that. So keyword research. Basically, you want to start with what are the questions that your clients, your potential customers, they might be asking. What are the problems they have that you can solve, or you know, they're hoping you'll be able to solve? What needs or desires do they have, you know, that are bringing them to you? Answering these questions is important because it can reveal really useful words and phrases that you might not have considered previously. And that's why it's important to look at this stage. You can use those words and phrases on the homepage itself. You can also use the likes of, you know, Google keyword research to, you know, put those terms and words in and even see what Google throws up and gives you new ideas alongside that research that you find out. So yeah, so if you are already, sorry, excuse me, so yeah, just don't assume you know exactly what brings people to you. It's important to ask them. If you're already trading, remember to ask your customers and clients how they find you, why they choose you, what keeps them coming back. You know, think about the different ways they might have found you too. Did they click through from your social media perhaps, or did they find you via some of your paid advertising? That could be online or even offline, more traditional advertising. So if so, your call to action is working. More of the same, you know, that's really good feedback. So if they came via a referral, a great review, or a link on someone else's website or social media, you want to know what those people are saying about you that's encouraging those people to click through to your website. What are the words and the phrases and the ideas that are common between, you know, if you're getting good reviews, you know, what are people saying about you in their social media content on their websites? What are the words and the phrases and the ideas that keep coming up? Because those are things that you should really be focusing on. Yep. So Google Analytics is your best bet really for tracking where your visitors are coming from, so whether that be other websites or Facebook, for example, what they're searching for to find you. That's really, to be honest, a workshop in itself. So there's a pretty comprehensive article I have that kind of walks you through it. And again, you know, if you want the slides after this, I can provide that, or I can provide that you know, that article as well. And if you don't yet have any customers or clients, you know, this is a good opportunity to maybe do some market research, create a survey to ask these questions, analyze the answer. You can use things like SurveyMonkey or Google Forms to gather responses from people, you know, to ask them what kind of, you know, questions, problems, issues would they be searching for answers from a business like yours, you know, just to get a bit of an idea as to you know, what problems you could be solving for them. You know, it's good business research as well as good research for your content as well. So moving on to talking about your voice, it's really conveying, you know, your personality. A lot of you guys are you know, maybe sole traders, you know, your one-man bands, one-person bands. So it is a lot about your personal personality, but also about the brand identity that you're hoping to create there. So, you know, as creative businesses, chances are, even, you know, the earliest stage startups, you have at least an emerging idea of that brand identity and, you know, the values that matter to you and to your business. Anything that sets you apart in a, you know, a positive or at least not negative way, is some part of what makes you unique, and it's definitely something you can capitalize on. Like